The night was beautiful, filled with laughter and city lights. Chandeliers shimmered across the ballroom, and waiters moved like dancers with silver trays. At the center of it all stood a young couple, smiling as the world watched them. Nathan Cole and Lily Brooks, the son of a billionaire CEO and the daughter of an art gallery owner. Their engagement party was the talk of New York. Lily's mother stood at the edge of the crowd, smiling proudly. Her silver hair framed her gentle face. She had lived a full life, love, loss, and everything in between. But as her gaze swept across the room, her smile froze. Her heart skipped. The man standing near the grand staircase looked hauntingly familiar. He was older, but his eyes, those eyes hadn't changed. Ethan. Her glass trembled in her hand. It couldn't be him. Not after all these years. The noise around her faded, replaced by echoes from another lifetime. The smell of chalk dust. The sound of laughter. The taste of peanut butter sandwiches. And suddenly, she was 12 again. It was a small school in a quiet town. The classrooms smelled of old wood and rain. Amelia Brooks was known for her red lunchbox. Every day she packed too much food. Her mother always worried she'd go hungry. Sandwiches, apples, cookies, more than enough for one. Across the room sat a boy who never ate much. His name was Ethan. His uniform was always clean but worn. His shoes had seen better days. He rarely spoke, always sat by the window, eyes lost in thought. The other kids teased him sometimes, but Amelia didn't. She liked the quiet ones. One afternoon, she noticed him watching her lunch from the corner of his eye. Without saying a word, she walked over and placed a sandwich on his desk. "You can have it," she said. Ethan looked at her, startled. "I can't. It's yours." She smiled. "I brought extra." That was the beginning. From that day on, they shared lunch every afternoon under the big mango tree behind the school. She talked, he listened. She dreamed out loud, he smiled quietly. They laughed about the teachers, made promises they didn't understand, and became inseparable. Sometimes, when he didn't have lunch, she would pretend she wasn't hungry either, just to make him feel less embarrassed. He would say, "Amelia, one day I'll buy you a whole bakery." She would laugh. "Then I'll bring the coffee." Years passed like that, simple and pure. The red lunchbox became their symbol. Then one day, Amelia didn't come to school. Ethan waited under the mango tree, lunch untouched. He thought she might be sick. The next day, she didn't come again. Or the day after. A week passed. Then a month. Finally, he asked the teacher. She sighed and said Amelia's family had moved away suddenly. Her father got a job in the city. Ethan sat alone behind the school that afternoon. The wind rustled the leaves above him. He held the red ribbon she used to tie her hair. She had left it behind one day when she ran off laughing, promising to get it later. He clenched it in his hand and whispered, "I'll find you someday." But life moved on. Ethan grew up. He worked hard, studied harder. He became a teacher, quiet and kind like he always was. He married, lost his wife too soon, and raised his son alone. He taught his boy that kindness was the greatest wealth. Amelia grew up too. The city changed her. She married a man who loved art and dreams, but life wasn't easy. When he died young, she kept going, raising her daughter to be strong, independent, and loving. 40 years later, they stood in the same room again, without realizing it yet. Back in the ballroom, Amelia set her glass down carefully. Her daughter's voice broke her thoughts. "Mom, are you okay?" Amelia forced a smile. "Yes, sweetheart. Just memories." Across the room, Ethan felt something too. A tug in his chest, a strange sense of déjà vu. He didn't know why, but when his eyes met hers across the crowd, time stopped. He whispered under his breath, "It can't be." The lights dimmed. The announcement came. "Please welcome the parents of the bride and groom." Amelia and Ethan both turned toward the stage. Their eyes met fully for the first time in 40 years. And in that instant, they both remembered a mango tree, a red lunchbox, and a promise that never really ended. The world around them blurred into silence. Only two names echoed softly between them. Amelia. Ethan. Subscribe to this channel, give it a like, and tell us where you are watching from. The next morning in New York, The sun rose softly over the skyline. Ethan sat by the hotel window, looking down at the city below. Cars honked, people hurried by, and the world seemed far away from the quiet little town he once knew. He smiled faintly, remembering the boy he used to be. A boy who once believed that kindness could change the world. He was in New York to see his son, Nathan. It had been a long journey from the simple life of a retired schoolteacher to the glittering offices of his son's company. Nathan Cole, the man everyone now called a visionary. Ethan was proud, but also a little lost in the rush of it all. Nathan entered the room, still dressed in a sleek grey suit. "Dad, you ready for tonight? We are meeting Lily's family at their place. Big night." Ethan nodded. "She seems like a nice girl." Nathan smiled. "She's more than that, Dad. She's everything." Ethan studied his son. The same quiet strength. The same soft eyes. It made him think of another pair of eyes, bright, mischievous, always smiling over a red lunchbox. Meanwhile, across the city, Amelia was in her kitchen preparing dinner. She hummed softly, chopping vegetables with careful hands. Her daughter Lily walked in, wearing a pale blue dress. "Mom, are you nervous?" Lily asked. Amelia laughed. "Why would I be nervous?" "Because you always are when guests are coming." She smiled. "Maybe a little. I want to make a good impression." Lily hugged her from behind. "You always do." For a moment, Amelia felt warmth spread through her chest. Her daughter's voice. Her laughter. It reminded her of what she once had and what she lost. She often thought of that little boy from her childhood, wondering where life had taken him. She didn't even know why she still thought of him after all these years. Perhaps because he was the first person she ever cared for deeply, in a way she couldn't name back then. Evening came. The city lights shimmered through the tall windows of the Brooks home. The table was set, candles lit, and the air smelled of rosemary and wine. Lily paced, checking her phone. "They're here," she said, excitement in her voice. When the doorbell rang, Amelia walked to the door, wiping her hands on her apron. She opened it with a practiced smile, and froze. Ethan stood there. Older, grayer, but still him. For a heartbeat, neither of them spoke. The years vanished. Ethan blinked, as if the world had tilted beneath him. "Amelia." Her hand trembled. "Ethan." Behind him, Nathan stepped forward, holding a bouquet. "Mom, this is my father." Lily gasped softly. "Dad, this is my mom." The two young people looked from one parent to the other, puzzled by the shock in their faces. The silence was thick enough to touch. Then Amelia found her voice. "Please, come in." Dinner was beautiful but tense. Every sound seemed too loud, the clinking of forks, the murmur of polite conversation. Lily and Nathan tried to keep the mood light, talking about their wedding plans, about work, about the future. But the past sat quietly at the table, between Ethan and Amelia. Finally, after dessert, Amelia stood up. "Would you like some air?" she asked softly. Ethan nodded. They stepped out onto the balcony. The city glowed below, endless and alive. For a moment, neither spoke. "I thought I'd never see you again," Amelia said finally. Ethan smiled sadly. "I thought I'd dreamed you." She looked down at her hands. "You still keep that look, you know. The one that says you're about to say something and don't." He chuckled quietly. "And you still talk too much when you're nervous." She laughed, softly, the sound trembling in the night air. Then her voice broke. "I waited for you. I mean, back then, when we left. I wanted to tell you goodbye, but my father got transferred overnight. We left before sunrise." Ethan nodded. "I waited under that mango tree every day for a month. You left your ribbon. I still have it." She looked at him, eyes wide. "You kept it." "I couldn't throw it away. It was all I had left of you." Tears welled in her eyes. "All these years." He reached out, hesitated, then gently touched her hand. "We were just kids, Amelia. But I never forgot. Every time I saw my son share something, be kind to someone, I thought of you." She smiled through tears. "And every time I told Lily to be kind, to care for others, I thought of you." The door opened behind them. Nathan and Lily stood there, smiling nervously. "We are going to take a walk," Nathan said. When they left, Amelia looked at Ethan again. "Our children are in love." Ethan nodded. "Maybe it's life giving us a second chance." The wind blew softly, and the candles inside flickered. Amelia turned toward the skyline. Maybe, or maybe it's just life keeping its promise. She didn't see Ethan's expression then, the quiet joy, the disbelief that fate had circled them back together after 4 long decades. As they stood there, the city lights flickering around them, the years seemed to melt away, leaving only 2 souls that had once shared a lunch beneath a mango tree. The wedding preparations began. Days turned into weeks. The 2 families met often, planning, laughing, sharing meals. Slowly, the old awkwardness faded. Ethan and Amelia found themselves talking more, sometimes late into the evening, about their lives, about everything they'd missed. One afternoon, Amelia invited him to her art gallery. It was quiet, filled with soft music and sunlight pouring through glass windows. She showed him her favorite paintings, soft strokes of color that reminded him of dreams. "This one," she said, pointing to a small painting of 2 children under a mango tree, "was the first painting I ever sold. I painted it from memory." Ethan stared at it, heart pounding. "That's us." She nodded. "I guess I never forgot either." He smiled, but there was something else in his eyes, something unspoken. Later, as they sat on a bench outside, Ethan took a small velvet pouch from his pocket. His hands trembled slightly as he opened it. Inside was a faded red ribbon. Amelia gasped. "You really kept it?" He nodded. "Through every move, every storm, every year, it was the one thing I couldn't let go of." Her eyes filled again, but she smiled. "You silly man." "I promised I'd find you someday," he said softly. "I guess I just didn't expect it to take 40 years. She laughed through tears. "Maybe it took that long because we had to grow into who we were meant to be." Their children's laughter drifted from inside the gallery. Nathan and Lily were looking at a sculpture, holding hands, glowing with love. Ethan watched them, then looked at Amelia. "They remind me of us. Only they get the ending we didn't." Amelia turned to him. "Who says we don't?" That night, after everyone had gone, Ethan walked her home. The city was quiet. When they reached her door, she hesitated. "Ethan," she said softly, "do you ever wonder if life is just one big circle? That everything we do comes back someday?" He smiled. "I used to think life was a straight road. But now, I think it's a circle drawn by destiny." She nodded. "Then maybe this is where ours finally meets." He reached into his pocket again and held out something else, a tiny photograph, yellowed with age. It was of a school, 2 children sitting under a mango tree. She touched it gently. "You kept this too." "I kept everything." For a long moment, they stood in silence. Then she leaned forward and kissed his cheek. "You kept your promise." Ethan smiled, voice low. "And you kept my heart." The next day, the wedding was held in a garden surrounded by lights and flowers. As Nathan and Lily said their vows, Ethan and Amelia stood side by side, watching their children begin a new chapter. When the music started, Ethan offered his hand. "One dance." Amelia laughed softly. "After 40 years, I suppose you've earned it." They danced slowly under the stars. The same rhythm, the same gentle connection that had once begun with a shared lunch. At the end of the night, as the newlyweds drove away, Ethan and Amelia sat quietly on a bench, watching the world fade into twilight. He turned to her. "You know, I used to think about that lunchbox, about how you always packed too much food." She smiled. "I always knew you'd show up hungry." He laughed softly. "I was. Still am, I guess." "For what?" She asked. "For time," he said. "For more of this." Amelia leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then let's not waste what's left." The city hummed around them. Somewhere far away, a mango tree swayed in the wind, as if remembering. And in that quiet, after 40 years, 2 hearts finally found their way home.